Bismillah wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulullah. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen wa salatu wa salam ala Rasul Anbiya al Mursaleen. Allahumma salli ala Nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. اللهم ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة. اللهم ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. May Allah guide us to the righteous path, and may Allah help us to understand, and may Allah help us to say and listen the right things, and may Allah help us to understand the Seerah of Rasulullah, and may Allah help us in our qabr and give us a weightage in our amal by learning, as Seerah is an important aspect of Muslims. Is important for Muslims to understand. Today is the sixth session of this Seerah, and inshallah in this session we will discuss some part of major events that happened in the childhood of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. In the last event we discussed when Bibi Halima radiallahu anha saw some extraordinary events happen with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. She was a bit scared about the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Therefore, she decided to take back to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam back to Mecca and hand it over to her mother, Bibi Amina. So she went back to Mecca and handed over Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and explained some of the events that happened with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, especially the surgery of the heart, the shaqq al-sadr event, and all whatever happened to his childhood when he was living with Halima radiyallahu anha. The mother of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has she already knew about she already knew about the events that happened to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam when he was under her womb, and there are other events also. So it was not surprising to her at all, and she has explained to Halima that my son, Allah, is a special gift from the God. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam started living, with her mother with his mother in Mecca for some time, and eventually he was orphaned. So her grandfather Abdul Muttalib used to take care of them for financially. At the age of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam became 6 years old, her mother decided to go back to his family, to the tribe Ibn Najjar in Madinah al-Munawwara, we used to call Yasrab before. And one of the riwayah explained that she planned to go to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's grandfather, wife's house. But and one of the riwayah has explained that she went to Medina to visit the grave of her husband Abdullah. If you look all of these three riwayah, there is no conflict, because as I explained earlier also, the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam father and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam grandfather, their wives are actually cousins to each other, and Bibi Amina used to live in her uncle's house. So there is no conflict. Second thing is that if he visited to Medina, and we know that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's father graves was in Medina, so eventually she can go and visit to the grave as well. So there is apparently all of these three riwayah has no conflict. It could happen all of the three. There is no ta'arrud, or there is no difference in it. It's just an understanding. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam traveled with her mother, as well as with his mother as well as his maid Ayman to Medina. He spent some time in Medina Munawwara, where he learned swimming, and there was a girl, her name was in the history called Anisa, and he used to play with her. When Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam traveled back to Medina Munawwara after the Hijrah and migration to Medina Munawwara, he explained this to Sahaba radiallahu anhu, that this is the place where I used to live with my mother, this is the place where I learned the swimming, this is the place where I used to spend my childhood. So all of this was so Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he visited, he traveled, he tell his Ashab Rasul alayhi salatu wasalam, that some of the footprints of his memory, and what he has in the memory about Medina Munawwara when he visited in the childhood. So after spending some time, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam got famous in Medina Munawwara. And the Yahud, who was pretty aware of the sign of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and they know that there is a prophet gonna come, they start looking and realizing the fact that this could be Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because when they saw Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in Medina Munawwara, they saw his face, they saw all the sign, and they started matching in their books. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam getting famous over there, and they were telling that this could be the prophet of this ummah. When Amina, the mother of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, she realized this. She afraid that probably these Yahudis may give some harm to to her son. So she decided to travel back to Mecca, and while on the way towards Mecca, there's a place called Abwa, and she traveled with Ayman for almost 2 days and 2 nights. Traveled to reached to Abwa. All of a sudden, the Prophet's mother got sick, and apparently some of the scholars said that the sign of this disease, based on the historical what has been written in the history, it seemed that she got heart attack, because all of a sudden she had this. And the mother of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, she got sick. She was like, all of a sudden, within a couple of hours, she was about to she get died. When Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was eventually almost like 6 to 7 years old, he saw her mother in the state of unconsciousness, or the state of this kind of sickness. She started crying, and the last word in the history it said that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mother said to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that every thing has to be finished. And after these words, she passed away. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam started crying upon her mother, and Ayman, who was there as a witness, she saw Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam crying and said, "Oh mother, you know that there is nobody except you for me in this world." And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam also started keep crying and crying. Ayman, she made a grave, and I'm sure that along with some people, but the history is not explaining about that how these women traveled. Are they traveled alone, or are they traveled with a group of people? I didn't find anywhere in the books that how these women traveled. Are they travel alone? It makes sense that they are traveling with a group of people, but eventually they were the three as a family. So Ayman made the grave. I mean, she buried, the mother of Rasulullah Sallallahu Rasulullah Sallam continuously crying, and she took Rasulullah Sallam, hold the hand of Rasulullah Sallam, and trying to travel, but Rasulullah Sallam just went back to her mother grave, and then start crying upon grave, and he just saying that, oh mother, you know that there is nobody except you. And eventually, you see what will happen to somebody who is at the age of 6, whose father died before his birth, and all of her traveling, there is nobody except his mother, and she also taken by Allah. So what could be a condition of a 6 years old or 7 years old kid, or a child? You can understand. uh, Ayman, you know, she took Rasulullah Sallam during the whole, and then it took another 2 days and 2 nights to Rasulullah Sallam to travel back to Mecca. Ayman said that in the entire, in this, traveling or journey, Rasulullah Sallam continuously weeping and crying for her mother. And why it is not so? Because it is a setback in for a child who haven't seen his father, nor and now one of our greatest relationship, or a relation that the child has, uh, he lost it in front of his eyes. But there is a reason for it, that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you know uh, there is a reason for it, that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Allah wants Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to be taken care by himself. He doesn't want any shadow or anybody to taken care of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allah want to give uh, the teaching directly to him, by his own, because this child is not, an ordinary person. He is the child who's going to lead the entire humanity till this whole world going to end. So Allah has taken care, so nobody tomorrow can explain, and can claim that, uh, that he is the one who, or she is the one whom, Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam has, taken information, or taken these kind of characters, or superficial, messages, or the teachings. So basically, Allah wants something, not to be. This is by Allah that who has deciding this to Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Anyhow, Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam traveled back, and Ayman handed over to the Prophet's grandfather. I just put the map of uh, the area where Rasulullah's mother's grave is there. If you travel from Medina to Badr, then and go back to Mecca, you will find a way called Abwa, and Rasulullah's mother is buried there. Still, there are some sign is there, though the government has put some restrictions, because people start going there and start visiting then these graves, and then we will start having bid'ah, all kind of stuff. So I think it's a good decision by the government not to allow many people to go there. But historically, this place is there. While travel, when Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, um, from Medina, decided after when he was at the age of 63 years, he decided to go to Hajj, the Hajjatul Wida. On the way traveling to Mecca, he take the path towards Abwa, and he asked Allah to give him permission to visit the mother's grave. And then he visited her, his mother grave, and the witnesses and the ulama say that he started crying. Especially Maulana Tariq Jamil Damanum Barakatuh Ali explained that Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam went to the grave and started crying, and he said, "Oh mother, I wish that you would be alive, and I wish that I would be in the prayer, and you ask me, oh Muhammad, and I would have left the prayer and go to serve you. So I wish I could have that time." The same thing happened when Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, peace be upon him, he traveled from Hudaybiyah. He again visited to Mother his mother grave, and at the time also he start weeping and crying in front of on the grave of her mother. And eventually, why it's not to be? Because the love of the relationship for a mother and a son, this is something you cannot deny. You know, this is a natural gift by Allah, that Allah has put this love between the parents and among the childs. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, whenever he visited her mother in 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 history, it is mentioned that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam start weeping and crying, and his tears come out. But it's not something a crying that you will say that he like the people start become abnormal. No, this is not the maximum we can say that the tears come out from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And this is written in Majmu' al-Buldan. It's also mentioned in Tarikh al-Dimashq, especially the Hudaybiyah, the Hudaybiyah event. It's also mentioned in Tabqat ibn Sa'ad. So all of the three references is available here. I mention it. Then next thing comes up when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was handed over to his grandfather. Eventually, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the grandfather also has an affection and love with him, because he was aware of this child is a special child. He loved his father Abdullah, and he loved the most Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Abdul Muttalib was the leader. He was the Sardar, or the head of the tribe and head of the Makkah, head of Mutawalli of Haram. So there was a carpet used to be placed for him next to the Haram, the wall of Haram, and nobody was allowed to sit other than Abdul Muttalib. Abdul Muttalib used to sit there on that particular carpet. Even his kids used to stand or used to sit next to that carpet. They won't allow. But Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to come on the carpet. He used to sit on the carpet, and Abdul Muttalib won't say anything to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And even sometime when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam tried to sit on that carpet, his uncles used to uncle used to say and won't allow him to do so. But Abdul Muttalib said, "This is my special son. Please don't touch and let him come to and sit on this carpet." So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to sit in that particular carpet where nobody is allowed other than Abdul Muttalib. Then one event come when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, at the age between 8 to 10, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam had got eye infection. I haven't seen that this particular event other than one book of Seerah. It's written in Urdu called Seerah Qadam by Qadam. I will share you the reference also later. But what happened was Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam got an eye infection. His grandfather took him to Taif, where there was a rahib, a Christian scholar was there, and he was a hakim also. He used to give medicines also. When he saw Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the sign of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he asked Abdul Muttalib, what is the relationship between you and him? And then he explained to Abdul Muttalib that his cure is in his saliva. So if you just put the saliva from his mouth and put upon his eyes, he will be cured. And then he explained that this child is a special child, and the sign based on what I studied, it's exactly the sign that has been given about for the Prophet. So, and then he explained, don't take your the son to anywhere, because if Yahud or Jews would have seen him, probably they will try to hurt him. Then Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, one event, another come that another event came. It is mentioned by is mentioned in Mustadrak ibn Hakim with Kandir ibn Sa'id, that he is narrated with his grandfather that at the old age, uh, when he visited in to Mecca one time. He saw an old blind person. He was making tawaf or circling around the Kaaba, and he started reciting some poem. And the meaning of that poem is that, oh Allah, please bring Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and this gonna be a blessing upon me if Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or ihsan upon me, if Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam will come back. What happened when he asked him that, who are you and why you are saying this? Then he explained this to Ibn Kandir, Kandir bin Sa'id's father, that my grandson, I lost some of my camels. I sent it to my sons, but they were unable to find it. But I know that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi Muhammad alayhi salatu wassalam, or my son or the grandson Ahmed is someone special. So I sent it to him, but I am unable to find him as well, and I am unable to get my camels as well. But I am really worried about my son Muhammad. Then after some time, Rasulullah sallallahu came back, and he saw Rasulullah sallallahu, and he grabbed Rasulullah sallallahu, and he said, oh son, I was really worried about you, and please, I won't allow you to let you go again. I won't let you go again, again. Hakim mentioned this riwayah, and he explained that this is upon the shart of Sahih Muslim. So the riwayah is pretty solid. At the age of, after some time, Abdul Muttalib, eventually he was old. In some of the, riwayah, it is mentioned that his age was 82, some mention 85, some mention 95, 110, 120. The different riwayah mentioned. Abdul Muttalib becomes sick, and he was near to the death. Then he make a will, and he bring Abu Talib, and explain that this, my son Muhammad, you used to take care of, you gonna take care of him. And he handed over to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to Abu Talib. And Abu Talib, the relationship between Abu Talib, though he was Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam uncle, but he was the real uncle, means that he was not Abu Talib and Abdullah was from the same mother. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as per the will of Abu Abdul Muttalib, after the death of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi Abdul Muttalib, Abu Talib start taking care of him. So the father of Rasulullah sallallahu when the grandfather of Rasulullah, when the age became 8, he passed away. And Ayman's mentioned in Ibn Sa'ad, it is mentioned in Ibn Sa'ad that Ayman saw Rasulullah sallallahu traveling with the funeral of Rasulullah sallallahu and with the dead body of Rasulullah sallallahu, and he started crying, and he upon Abdul Muttalib. And why he would not so? Because again, another setback for a child at the age of 8, when someone who used to take care of him and love him and give him love of father, before 2 years before it was mother, then again his father, who is actually his grandfather, has taken by Allah. And so Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam start crying and upon his janazah. Again, as I said to you earlier, that you will see this not happening by chance. It's all of the events that occurring with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It is something that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has been, Allah has taken care of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He start, and he doesn't want anybody's shadow upon Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and upon his character. He want to give the teaching directly to him by himself. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as per the will of his grandfather, he was handed over to Abu Talib, and Abu Talib, again, he taken care to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam more than his kids. He used to love Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam a lot. Whenever they used to sit and eat, if Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is not there, he won't start eating. And till Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to come and sit with him. He used to take care of him a lot. In fact, it was a love, and that Allah has put in the heart of everybody who will start taking care of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, because this child is a special child, and whoever comes and whoever Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam associate with him, the blessing come upon himself and his family. This is what happened. Abu Talib, he became the leader of the tribe after Abdul Muttalib, and they and this has happened in Makkah, that whoever become a tribe, he poverty come to him, because he has to spend a lot upon hajis and the pilgrims. He used to give Zamzam. He spend a lot. So the poverty is not because of they don't have money. The poverty is they used to spend money on haram, and they used to spend money on pilgrims, as they were the head of and the wali of haram. So he used to taking care of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Whenever Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam used to sit up together for lunch or dinner, the kids generally fight for the food, because once you have a shortage of food. But Abu Talib observed that Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam sitting among them, even if they have a less food, they have barakah, and all used to eat enough, and the food was still there. So it was the barakah because of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, that everything with a small amount of things, with a small amount of food, it's more than enough for everybody. So he observed also one thing that Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Abu Talib observed, was that Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam never ever fight with anybody, in his childhood with anybody, like the kids used to fight with each other. At the age when Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam become almost like between 10 to 12, and he saw that Abu Talib is not financially well, so he requested Abu Talib to that oh uncle, I will take some workload from you. And he started goat grazing and a place near Ijada in Makkah, and he used to take the goats of the people of Makkah, and used to take care of them to take them to outskirt of Makkah and feed them. The goats used to go, typically goat grazing, that what used to have it, and he used to take the goats upon some agreed amount, which called qirat. Now there is a difference of opinion among the word of qirat that mentioned in the ahadith, or the mention in the seerah. Some of the scholars said that no, Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam doesn't take it for the money, and this qirat means that it is a place called qirat. It is not that qirat, the currency that qirat is. So Allama Sahli rahmahullah alayhi explain, he put a debate about this, and he explained this about Hafiz Asqalani rahmahullah alayhi, he mentioned this, that qirat, it's some amount of money. This is a better and authentic version. And second thing is, there is no harm that, and it's not against of a prophet as a prophet, and it is totally makes sense that prophet start doing business. He start doing goat grazing for the sake of money, and you're eating halal, not haram. So it is totally as per the prophet, as a life of a man, that if somebody want to earn money, he has to take some right way to get it. So and also when Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam used to go goat grazing, so he was aware of it, because he used to go for goat grazing with her, with his brother, and with the brother and sister, and when he was in the family of Halima. So he used to go for goat grazing with his sister and and brother. So Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, again, Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, it's also some of the historical people who wrote the history, especially some of one person from France. He written a history, and he said, what is this that the prophet have seen, did this goat graving, and it is something that against the Prophet. But it is not against the Prophet rank, because Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam mentioned in one of the hadiths in Bukhari that there is nobody, and not ever, there is no Prophet who haven't done goat graving. And so Musa alayhi salatu wasalam, Isa alayhi salam, every prophet had did this. So it is not against of anything related to prophets as a rank of a prophet. One of the important point that mentioned by the ulama is that there is a hikmah in goat graving, because goat is a difficult animal. When it go as a cattle, generally the group, it create more problems than other animals. If you talk about any animal that they go, you take camel, horses, goat is one of the difficult one. And Allah generally, when every prophet did it in his childhood or in his life, because if you look, the humans also do the same. That prophet give you da'wah and give you a right path, but it's a couple of group. It's difficult for human beings. So it is more or less a resemblance between the goat and the human beings. That some humans try to go here, some humans try to go there. It's the goat, the person who used to do a goat graving, he has to make sure that the wolf won't come to the goat, because generally goat is difficult to manage, and they won't travel in the group. So he has to take in care a lot if while somebody is doing goat graving. So Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, similarly, the Prophet also used to do the same thing. They used to teach to the human beings the right track, but some of the human beings, they take this teaching, some of them don't want to take the teaching. So Prophet has to do with a lot in terms of, he has to do sabr, he has to do a lot of efforts in the way of Allah. So the ulama has given some resemblance as a hikmah, that why it has been given to all the people. Then there was a time when the next event comes, a major event, when Rasulullah became 12. At the age of 12, Abu Talib decided to travel for trade to Syria. And Abu Talib, Rasulullah, when he came to know that Abu Talib is traveling to Syria, he insisted. Initially, Abu Talib decided not to take him, but when he insisted and he saw his face, Abu Talib took him. It is mentioned in Seeratunnabi. Then at the time when this whole the qafila, it traveled to reach to Basra, there was a rahib. He was Christian rahib. His name was Jarish. He generally it's a way towards reaching to Syria. He generally won't taken care these qafla, or the group of people for business, those who used to come from Mecca, or those used to come. He doesn't give notice. But one time, and this time, when he saw something strange. He saw that the group of people coming, and he saw something very superficial, and then he somehow recognized Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. It is mentioned in he was like, he came out from his place. He saw Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and he said he is the Prophet. And then he told to Abdul Muttalib, don't take him to Syria, because the people they may gonna hurt. He is the Prophet. And about Jaris, it is mentioned that his name was he was famous as a name called Bahira. When he explained this to Abu Talib, that Abu Talib questioned him, how you recognize him? He said, look, while he was sitting next to in the group, the trees start giving him shadows. Though he was sitting on the other side, but the trees move towards him. And he said, this is a sign of Prophet, that the trees or the stones, they bow down towards him. And I have read, I am a scholar of Bible, I'm a scholar of Torah, I'm a scholar of Injil, and I know that this he has all the signs, and then he requested Abu Talib, don't take him please don't take him to Syria, because it's come under Rome and they're going to hurt him. So Rasulullah then, and this it is mentioned in Tirmizi that that Rasulullah was returned back by Abu Talib, or also in one of the riwayah that Abu Talib has distributed all his goods, whatever he brought from Makkah, and he traveled back to Makkah. In one of the another riwayah, it is mentioned that Rasulullah he sent Rasulullah back by himself, and he traveled to Syria. Then in the same time, the event comes regarding Romans. Some of the Roman people came in search of Rasulullah. This Rahib Jaris has saw him, and he said, why you came? He said, we in our books it is mentioned, and we are searching for this prophet. And then he explained, he said, why you want to kill somebody? Why you came? He said, we have been sent by the Romans to look into it, and if they find it, kill him. So then this Bahira explained him and give him a lot of discourage about him, that if he is a right prophet, then why you want him to kill? He's under the protection of God. So all of these people, they understand, and then they stick with this Bahira. It is mentioned in the history that Bahira died as a believer of Allah. He was not a mushrik. Then the next event comes, that battle of Fujjar. At the time when Rasulullah was 12, there was an event happened, and there was after 12, when there was a big war happened called Harbul Fujjar. This battle happened among Quraysh and the Qais tribe. And the Prophet uncle used to insist upon Rasulullah that please take a part in this battle. Allama Sahli rahmahullah alayhi mentioned in Rawdat al-Anaf that Rasulullah he won't take part of the battle. He was just giving, because this battle was among the tribes, not the battle for Allah. So Rasulullah didn't take the part, nor Allah allowed him to do so. So Rasulullah has just giving the arrows to his uncle during this fight. Then finally, what happened in this fight was that some of the people among the Quraysh and Qais realized that this killing not gonna work, and they start again. This is because of Rasulullah that Allah want this area to be protected for Rasulullah. That they in this war, there is a feeling developed among three people. One of the name was Fadl bin Fadala. Another one called Fadl bin Wa'ada, and another one called Fudail bin Haris. So they have a feeling developed that, why we are fighting for? Let's gather together, make a pact named called Half al-Fudul. And why is called Half al-Fudul? Because everyone, who are part of who actually realized this, his name started with Fadl. So the reason this pact called Half al-Fudul. So they said, let's revive, Half al-Fudul, and then they gathered together. And Zubair bin Abdul Muttalib, then he mentioned something in his poetry. Rasulullah mentioned about this pact, that one of the time that what happened with this pact was that they agreed that we will not fight with each other, and we will stand again with the right people. Again, we will stand with the truth, no matter whether it belongs to our tribe or no matter whether it belongs to another tribe. So we are the people of Makkah, and we will stand with the truth. Rasulullah mentioned about this pact that if I would be if I would encourage to to go for this kind of pact, even against if somebody giving me red camels. So Rasulullah used to love this pact, because the reason was that the reason was that this pact mentioned that we will be we will be among those who are right. We will not it against of tribe, it against of we will be with the truth. So Rasulullah mentioned that I would prefer this pact to be in place rather than if somebody given me a red camels. And red camels used to be something that important in Arabs. So this is all about in today's session. May Allah help us to understand In the next session, inshallah, we will discuss about Rasulullah's marriage and the next trade, that he become actually a businessman, and he become a Sadiq or Amin in Arabs. May Allah help us and guide us in order to understand this, and may Allah give us the right direction, and may Allah help us to understand the seerah. Jazakumullah khair wa khairul jaza.